Hey everyone, thanks for watching my brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about antifreeze, and you may be wondering, what can you talk about antifreeze? What is there to talk about? I've been doing this for quite some time now, about 20 years or so, and I started even before I could work at a job, where I've been working on driveways, a shade tree backyard mechanic. But I did at times even work at a parts store, and I used to get asked often, what is antifreeze? Because there's two kind of main types. And, I think as time's progressed, people's knowledge, the internet, I mean, when I started, you didn't really have Google and all that, but, now you have that, and people have looked it up and they kind of know. But also at the same time, I still get asked it every once in a while. And I was asked recently, and I said, well, hey, I've got this forum, might as well put the video out. If it helps, it helps. Hey, why not? So we're going to talk a little bit of that. Not much to talk about, but I will break it down for you just so you know the difference and what to look for. As usual, though, before I get into that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if you dislike, make sure to just leave a comment why. No trolling here. Come on. Let's just let me know what's going on so that way I can make this content a little bit better just for everyone, all right? Other than that, let's get right to it. So what are the two types of antifreeze I'm talking about? Well, there's washer fluid and there's coolant. Now, funny enough, I've brought this up to people before, and some people who even are industry specialists don't always realize that there's actually a labeling for the two. Antifreeze, I think, is the most common set on coolant. However, shows up on washer fluid as well, and some people seem kind of surprised by this. And I also think that creates a lot of confusion. And this is what I'm talking about here. As you can see here, I have some Dexcool coolant, and it is labeled Premix All Life Antifreeze Coolant. On this side here, I have some washer fluid, All Season Windshield Washer Antifreeze. So you can see they're both labeled with antifreeze itself. So what gives? Well, simply put, it simply has to do with the solvents that are inside the fluids themselves. There's solvents inside washer fluid antifreeze and solvents inside coolant antifreeze that prevents them from freezing up in harsh cold temperatures. That's all it is to it. So it's really just a matter that it's meant to not freeze, hence antifreeze. However, it is worth noting that all engine coolants are antifreeze. And I'll do a video separately on coolant because it's actually very complex and there's a lot of things to it. I'll talk about that in another video. But just know that for obvious reasons, because in the operation of the engine, it can't freeze. However, not all washer fluids are antifreeze. And you'll see that when you look at washer fluids. Some of them are not labeled with antifreeze. That's because there may be summer applications or anything like that. They're not really meant for winter applications if you have harsh cold temperatures or climates. So they're not antifreeze, and that's important to note. So make sure when you're buying your washer fluid, you're paying attention and buying the right one. If you're in cold temperatures, buy one that has antifreeze solutions in it. Of course, and that's again just the solvents that are in there. Get to go in your car and where everything goes as well. Normally you'll see something with a windshield, looks like a windshield like this, with some spraying. That's for your windshield washer fluid. And something like this, for example, will have something, for example, that says coolant on it. This will always be the case. Always know it. They are not interchangeable. I want to point that out. Not interchangeable. Just because they say antifreeze on both bottles, you can't use them either or. That may seem obvious, but I want to point this out if we're talking about it in the video. Now, since I'm going to do a separate video completely just covering coolant, I got a couple pro tips for you for windshield washer fluid. So I'm going to kind of give those to you now, and I'll start off with the first one, which is if you live in an area where you have changing climates. For example, I live in Canada, and we get pretty decent summers, pretty warm and nice, and pretty cold winters. So if you're going to have a summer fluid and a winter fluid, make sure if you're going to change that, you empty out all the old fluid. So if you have like half of the thing, a reservoir full of summer fluid, and then you throw in winter, you're kind of diluting the winter, and it's not going to operate the way it should. Seems obvious, but actually a lot of people don't do that. They just kind of throw fluid in. If you really want to do it the right way, especially if you're going to deal with harsh temperatures, make sure you're actually emptying out the old fluid using a siphon of some sort and put the new one in. That way you ensure you're getting the best possible fluid for the best possible season. The next pro tip I'll give to you is never ever let your washer fluid go dry. And as a habit, generally speaking, I like to top it up once a month. The reason I say this is because if it gets really low, there's actually a motor. That's what brings it when you push on that little switch and get the washer fluid to shoot up, right? It's a little motor that pulls that fluid through and then shoots it onto your windshield. However, if it goes dry and you run that motor, it can actually burn it out. And some older cars actually used to be pretty easy to change. I remember I had a 91 Cavalier. It was actually not that bad to do. But a lot of these newer cars now, it's a pain in the ass to change that motor. So make sure, of course, that if you're doing that, you are taking the right steps. You're making sure the washer fluid's topped up and you're not letting it dry at all. Other than that, I want to thank you guys once again for watching this video. A simple, easy video. Hopefully it's helped you guys out for those who wonder. And maybe for those who actually do know, maybe it's helped a couple things here and there. As usual, thank you very much for watching. See you next video.